Hello everyone and welcome back. So now we can finally get into rigging. So let's not waste any time here, let's start out. I'm going to work on the female character first just because we've already got her open. I imagine we can copy the same skeleton onto the male one and then just move the joints around a bit so that they fit his proportions. So we're going to create a new object here. This is I think we showed this a bit in the last video just to hype it up. So we add a new object on this armature section right here. And instead of selecting one of the presets that come with this add-on I've got enabled, we're just going to add a basic bone and we'll create our own one from scratch. So first off, we can see this create this new object called an armature, and I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this rig female, and later on we'll parent the body mesh to this. So now let's change a couple of these settings. The first thing you'll notice is that this bone's going to be inside the character. It's kind of hard to see. So let's go down to this tab, I believe it is right here. The viewport display. I'm going to tick in front, which just means even though it's inside the character, it will always appear in front. And we can also enable names, why not? Because we're going to rename these bones later. So let's go into front view. And I'm going to scale this down, make sure we're in edit mode right now. There's a new mode right here for these objects called pose mode, which is when we actually want to animate them and move them around and pose them. But we don't want to use that. We want to use edit mode whilst we're actually editing it. So let's go into front view. And first thing I'm going to do is move this bone up to where the hips will be. And this will be like the actual hip bone. Just move it forward a tiny bit as well. We can always change this later. And then let's extrude this one up. And this will be like the spines. So let's just add a couple bones here. I'll add one here and one here for simplicity. And for this neck bone, we'll be extruding one out for the neck like this, and then another one for the head, which means that the head will be posed about this point. Once again, we can always change it later, so don't worry too much. Might even move this a tiny bit. There we go. And yeah, this shouldn't be perfectly flat, by the way. Let's move it around so it better fits the shape of her spine. Of course, the actual spine's back here, but just for automatic weight, something we'll cover later, it's usually best, I find, if the bone's in the middle of the body. Let's just move this around so it follows her spine. It should curve like this. That's all right. And then let's quickly name these ones. So I'm going to hit F2 to rename it. You can also do it here, you have to find it in the outliner, or you can go to this bone tab right here. And I'm going to stay on this tab, and I'm just going to rename this hips, spine 1, spine 2, spine 3, well actually I'll call this neck, and I'll call this one head. Perfect, so that's all the middle ones running down. And then we can start extruding out to create the shoulders and legs. So let's go into the front view again, and I'm going to extrude out. This will be the shoulder, but we're actually going to move this bone. We don't want it to be attached to the spine, so we're going to move it. You'll notice when we try moving this bone, its head, I suppose, is still attached to the spine, and we don't want that. We want to disconnect it. And so the way we can do that is by hitting Alt-P, and you can either clear parent, or you can disconnect the bone. We're going to keep it disconnected because we still want it to be parented to spine 2. Let's just move this in shape so it's about where her shoulder is. This will be her shoulder bone. And then we'll extrude our arm out. So you'll notice this black line right here that shows a hierarchy. And this is because this spine 2 right here, let's rename this shoulder. And then period, capital L. We'll talk more about that in a second. You'll notice this line here means that this bone is parented to this one. So if we wanted to parent this bone to spine 1, we just hit Control P, and you can either connect it like this, which will actually move the head down to the tail of spine 1, like a chain, or you can hit Control P and then keep offset, and you can see this line moves so that on a bone, this is the head, this is, I suppose, the actual bone itself, and then this is the tail. And if you connect it, then the head of this bone will be connected to the tail of the other. But don't worry about that too much. And also, the reason I've put a period, capital L at the end, I don't know if it needs to be capital, but I always do. That's because this is on the left side of the character, And so everything in the middle doesn't matter because it's just in the middle, but everything with a period L, we need to name it like that so that later on when we symmetrize the skeleton, it will copy all the .L vertex groups to .R vertex groups, and it will create just a new set of bones. So we'll do that later. So let's extrude out here. I'm going to try and put this where these cuts are in the middle. Might be easier to see them in wireframe. Just like this. And let's extrude out again to where the wrist is. Now, if you remember earlier, I was saying you already want a natural bend in the arm. I think this is one we were modeling. So I'm just going to move this back on the y-axis so that if we add IK to this, it will know where to put it. And IK is something we'll cover later as well. Don't worry about that. Just put this here. So yeah, there's already a slight bend. That's nice. And then we can extrude out a hand. So let's Alt-P to a clear parent. Let's move this to where the thumb should be. And I'm going to parent it to this bone right here. So hit Control-P, keep offset, and you can see this line indicates such. Let's just move it down so it's in place. I always enjoy rigging in Blender. I think it's quite fun. There we go. Let's quickly rename these. So remember, everything here should be .L. Let's rename this upper arm .L. Lower arm.L or forearm.L. I'm just going to say lower arm and .L, and same with the thumb. Now we dodged a bullet by adding these sort of mitten gloves because if we were to do every bone in each of the fingers, that can take a lot of time to rename them. So luckily we don't have to do that. And let's continue with the legs now, which I believe is all we've got to do left. So let's just select this head right here. Let's extrude it down on a z-axis. And I'm just going to move this into position, and we'll parent this to the hips. So Control-P, keep offset, and this will be where the actual hip is. Around about there. This should be in the middle of the knee. That's it. And then we'll extrude this down. Remember, have a slight natural curve. You can see it's sort of bent to where the ankle is going to be. It should be about there. And for the foot, you can usually have a little joint here where the toes are, but because it's such a low poly model, I think I'm just going to have one bone. Let's extrude this out, move the whole thing down a little bit. Just like that. And then we can check everything's in the center. That looks fine. Let's rename everything. Thigh.L, shin.L, and then foot.L. There we are, that looks like everything's sorted. So we might end up going back, but whilst we're here, let's see if we can actually get this character to move. So I'm just going to go into the material view, why not? So first off, let's select this character right here, and we need to add a modifier onto this character. Let's keep the mirror there for now. Don't worry about that. So let's go down, add an armature, and we can select this armature object right here. So I'm just going to use a pipette to select rig female. And we'll notice I don't think anything will move right now. And that's because instead of adding the modifier manually, we're going to use an automatic way to do it. So let's get rid of this. And let's parent it to the armature. And we hit Control-P. And this is a little shortcut that Blender gives us. So it gives us this. So usually you just parent to an object and it's alright. But we can go down to armature deform, and then with automatic weights. And this is just Blender helping us here. So it automatically creates vertex groups that assign to each one of these bones. So a vertex group, I think we've used these before in this course. We used them to create the hair in the last video, in fact, I think. And you can see it masks, so each one of these bones, right here, it's like that's a foot one. Each one of these bones will have how do we select these vertex groups right here. And you can see which parts of the character are assigned to them. And then if we move this in pose mode, remember, so pose mode, a shortcut is Control-Tab. You can also change it up here. Let's go to pose mode. And if we rotate it, now the character moves. So it's created each of these vertex groups automatically, and to be honest, they look okay. Most of them seem to work fine. Of course, the hair won't follow, but this can be quite satisfying. Our character's really animatable now. Let's see how the shoulder, usually the shoulder's a difficult part, but it looks like it's okay. I'm happy with this. And even the head looks like it's alright as well. We tend to need to fix the chin. It looks like we're going to need to fix the eyebrows as well, actually. Yeah, don't worry about the other side, by the way. Because we're going to use symmetrize for that. And this is a little shortcut in Blender. Another thing that's helpful if we name these as such, we can copy this whole side of the character. So let's just select everything here. We're in edit mode. I'm going to change to lasso just because I like this. And we can F3 to type in, I believe it's symmetrize, so armature symmetrize. And it's created our other side, and it's automatically renamed these, which is very useful. And let's see if this works now. We might need to do something else. Yeah, it looks like it's because we haven't got the vertex groups named. So this mirror modifier right here, let's also try moving it after, just see if that helps. I imagine not. Let's try switching the order back. It's sometimes hard to remember. Just put the mirror first. And what this mirror will do, I believe, is create copies of all of these vertex groups. Well, we need to create the copies, but if we create an empty vertex group with shoulder.r, it will like mirror the information from .l across to it. So let's try that now. Let's try the hand.l. So let's create a new vertex group and let's call it hand.r. And let's see if it mirrors it. It's not quite working. This one's working though. I think it's just the thumb. So yeah, let's go through and just create copies of all these groups, just empty ones. So for each bone, let's go down in order. So I've got upper arm.r, lower arm.r, and as we go in here, so make sure you name them correctly. So the upper arm.r, lower arm.r, hand. Now we need to add the thumb. There's probably an automatic way of doing this, but it's quite a simple character we've got, so let's just do this by hand now. It'll probably be quicker. Shin.r, foot.r, and I believe that's all of them. You can always fix it later if it doesn't work. So now we can pose each of these bones, and we've still got our mirror modifier applied. Of course, if your character's not symmetrical, you know, maybe you've already applied your mirror modifier, or you want to have like a pocket or a strap on one side that isn't on the other, then you might have to do this by hand, but don't worry about that. There are also lots of rigging tutorials out there on the internet. This is just like just to quickly show you, so we can, we can say we've done it and we've tried it before. So now we might need to do some manual weight painting here. So I've selected this object, this mesh. Let's Control Tab to go to weight paint mode, and we can select the vertex groups that we want to paint here. Let's go up to head, and to start out with, let's just make everything. So let's increase our strength and our weight to 1, and everything here should be red, like the whole face should be red, including the jaw. Let's just quickly fix that. We can also isolate the object, quickly hide the hair. And remember, you don't always have to weight paint. There are lots of ways to assign to a vertex group. In this case, for the eyebrows, let's go back into the object. Oh, sorry, let's isolate. Yeah, we'll go into object mode, and if we select these eyebrows right here, and we want to assign a weight of 1, so we can use this weight slider here, and whenever you hit assign, it will assign this value to the group that you've got selected with all the vertices that you've got selected. So I'm assigning just the eyebrows to the head vertex group with a weight of 1. And you can also remove them from a group or give them a weight of 0 instead. So let's go back into object mode, and now they should move with the head. Doesn't look like they are, and that might be because they're also part of another vertex group, most likely the neck. So let's remove them from the neck group, because it will blend between the head and the neck. It will try and reach a compromise. So let's go back into object mode, and now we can see they move with it. And whilst we're here, let's also just paint away from the neck, because it looks like some of the faces are assigned from the neck. So we can see, although this is red, it will kind of blend this with all other vertex groups that have got the vertices selected. If that makes any sense. So this is all red on the head one, because it's also on the neck. We're just going to need to paint this away. So with a strength of 1 and a weight of 0, we could just paint her face blue. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's okay. And let's also get rid of some of this chest as well, because too much of that's selected. And now we can just go through. The hips are looking okay, but we might need to add a little bit more. You can use a drawing tablet for this as well if you like. Just select the hips. There's a hips group. That's hard to find. There we go. And I believe actually if we select this armature and then shift select the mesh, I hope I got this right way around, and then Control Tab up to the weight paint mode, we can select these bones right here. So yeah, I think you can shift select them, well, control select, yeah, control click to select them. And it just means you don't have to choose it from this list. You can just pick the bone that you want to paint. Not many people know that one. Took me a while to figure that out. So I'm just gonna, and the advantage of this, you can quickly pose it around. So like here, I'm gonna pose this to move it up. And let's just increase the strength, decrease the weight. Sorry, I'm gonna keep the strength around about here, but decrease the weight. And we can just paint away parts of this because this shouldn't be moving right now. Unfortunately, we'll have to repeat this process for the male character, but I just see it as extra practice. It can never hurt. There we go, let's paint her away. And that's deforming a little bit more naturally now. And let's also see how the hips are looking, so let's control select this. That's okay, to be honest. I think that's deforming alright. Let's see how the knee's looking. Looks okay to me. I'm just gonna have the strength of 1 and the weight of 1. I'm just gonna paint this whole thing red. Well, not the whole thing, but the base of it. That's deforming a bit better now, I like that. And I'm going to paint away from this. So let's decrease our weight. And this whole base of the shoe should be blue. There we go, that foot's looking good now. For the most part. Maybe a few tweaks we need to make, but I'm happy with that. And yeah, once again, you know, like everything, spend a bit more time on this than I am. This is just to show you. Hands looking okay, and so is the thumb. Remember number pad period to jump to a bone if you want to pivot around it. Let's see how our left side's doing. Remember the right side, sorry, not the left side. Everything should copy across. That's looking good. And just like in object mode, you can select everything in pose mode. And if you hit Alt G and Alt R, it will just reset everything. Sometimes you need to spam it. So let's pose this, and don't worry about posing something because if you press tab to go into edit mode, we might actually, because we've got both selected, it's kind of weird. So let's just select the armature, and if we go into edit mode, you can see this is like the rest, I suppose you'd call it the resting position. This is the T pose, and then the pose and in object mode will display how it's being posed. So you can put it in a nice position like this, but if you want to edit the armature again, just hit tab. And everything will be back to normal, just like this. So I'm just going to select everything and clear. And now we need to copy this for the male version. So that's it. Let's select this armature. I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate. Call it Rig Male. And now we need to assign this to the male one. So let's see if we can remember how to do that. I'm just going to hide these. Bring back the male base and male hair. And remember, we need to select this mesh, and then we need to parent it. We need to parent it to the armature. So let's do that quickly and hit Control P to parent with automatic weights. It looks like this female one's still showing up. I think they've been buried in the outline, haven't they? So yeah, unfortunately, because they're like children of each other, we'll also need to hide the female base down there. That's okay. And I don't think we did actually make the female shorter. You know, like we didn't scale her down at all. So our proportions are okay. Let's just move some of these. Because I've already mirrored it, whatever I do to one side, I'm going to have to copy across to the other. Just be a bit more careful with that. There we go. And everything should deform. So yeah, we'll just have to weight paint it a little bit. That's looking okay. And our shoulders are working a lot better than the female version, which is nice. So let's just do the same thing that we did before. I'll try and be quick with this because it's stuff we've already covered. So I'm going to remove this from the neck collection. And I'm going to assign it to the head collection. And then let's just quickly do our weight painting. If you remember before, when we painted this head to be red, we then had to paint it blue on the neck. So we're painting it away from the head, and then we're painting it onto the head, and then we're painting it away from the neck again. But there's an option to do this for us called Auto Normalize, and I believe this should work. Let's hope it does. So we can see currently like a little bit blue here on head. You know, it's like a little bit of green, I suppose you'd say. It's on a scale from blue to green to red. But if we paint this onto the head, so let's go a weight of 1 and paint on the head like this. It should auto normalize and paint it away from the neck, and you can see now it's turned blue, which is perfect for us. Saves a lot of time. This is another thing I didn't know till a little bit too late. Let's do the same. This will be useful for the thigh as well. And this honestly, this mode makes the whole weight painting process so much better. There we go. Looks like this male one deformed a bit more naturally. I think the shape of his hips and shoulders just a bit easier. So again, I'm going to set a weight of 1 and a strength of 1. I'm just going to paint on the base of the foot. So this is fully assigned. Just like this. Nice. And everything should copy across. Remember, when I'm selecting these bones here, I'm holding control. Because otherwise you could just start painting. So yeah, you control to select. This is kind of weird. So yeah, let's go back into object mode now. And that looks like the rigging done. Now we just need to add the hair to it. We can either assign this to this bone, or we can just add it to this character mesh. So let's quickly join it up. Make sure there are no modifiers on it. Yeah, let's join it to this head. And or before we do that, actually, this will give us we'll try mirroring it, won't it? So let's apply this mirror modifier once we're happy with it. I'm going to quickly file save as, just in case I want to go back to the pre-mirrored character. There we go. So let's apply this mirror modifier. And this should mirror all our vertex groups as well now. So that's fine. And let's join this head. And then we just need to select these vertices. Go down to the vertex groups. And just in case you think it's already assigned to any vertex groups, I believe here you can go and remove from all groups. And this would just do this button right here, but to every single group. So you have to do it individually. And let's add it to the head with a weight of 1. And now if we try posing him, the hair should follow. Let's do the same for the female one. I'm just gonna bring these back. Not sure what this empty here is doing. I think that might be for the water. We'll see. You see, where's her hair gone? It's right here. Apply this mirror modifier, and then we'll merge the hair with Control J. That's it. Control J. Go through, and I'm confident there are no. It's not assigned to any vertex groups. But remember, there's tools here if you ever need it. Let's assign it to the head with a weight of 1. Now, of course, one thing you might notice, her ponytail it won't wiggle around with her head. You might want to add a couple bones for her ponytail, so that when she turns her head like this, you can have it drooping downwards. But that's another level of detail. Might be a challenge for some of you maybe. But yeah, we've covered the basics of rigging. The only other thing to do is IK. We add inverse kinematics. This is probably beyond the scope of this course, so just consider it a little bonus crash course. But we'll add a constraint to some of these bones right here, called IK, inverse kinematics, which means instead of posing it like this, when we animate it, let's say we're doing a walk cycle, instead of having to move the legs up like this, we can just move the foot and the knee will automatically bend for us. So let's go into edit mode. And with this bone selected right here, we're just going to extrude up. And we're going to rename this foot IK.L. We probably should have done this before we mirrored it, but this is okay. We can do it manually, or we'll just show you the left side, and then you can figure out the right side as well if you want to do that as well. But like I said, this is just a crash course. And we want to untick this deform option right here, just so it doesn't add any vertex groups, but don't worry about this because we've already added our vertex groups. So we've got this, and so now let's select this IK bone right here. So we've got this one selected, and then we shift select this one. So this should be yellow, and this one should be orange. And then because this is the one that the constraint's going to be on, and we press Shift I, and nothing has happened, and that's just me being silly. And that's because we're in edit mode. We need to be in pose mode for this. So Control Tab, hold down Control Tab, go to pose mode. And luckily our selection carries across the save from from edit mode to pose mode. So now if we try it, let's select this and Shift I to active bone, and you can see it turns yellow, and that's because it's got this constraint on it. Right here, this bones constraint tab, not the objects constraint. And we should be able to move this. So let's see what's wrong here. It might be because it's parented. So let's in edit mode. I'm going to be switching between pose and edit mode. If it's yellow, it's edit mode. If it's like turquoise, then it's pose mode. I'm just going to press Alt P to clear parent. Let's see how this looks now. And we can see it's moving. It's doing what we want. You see this bone's bending automatically. And we need to reduce the train. Or if the chain length is on 0, that just means we can see. Let's increase it to 2, I believe, or 1. I think 2 is the right amount, and that just means that the next 2 bones will move. If it's on 0, it's effectively infinity, so it will move the whole character to bend. But yeah, we can see this leg working now quite nicely. but we can't control the angle that's going around. And to do that, we need to add something called a pole. So let's just select this blob right here, extrude it out on the y-axis, and let's call this a foot pole .l, and we're going to parent this to this IK. You don't have to have it parented to anything, but I usually like to parent the poles to the IK bones just because it's easier when moving about. So that's it. Let's select these, Control P, keep offset, and then we're just going to move this out on the y-axis, and then we'll use this as like the direction. So the head right here will be the direction that the knee points in. We'll see this later. So let's go down for the pole target. We're going to need to select this, and then just type in pole, foot pole.l. I probably should have named it leg instead of foot, but that's okay. And we also need to change this pole angle right here to an offset of -90 degrees, it looks like, or something like that. Just so it's got the angle right. And let's try moving this now. So you can see we can move the leg up, and then we can also rotate it around. So it's kind of hard to see of all these bones here. If you don't like this shape, by the way, I believe this is octahedral, but we can go up here, change this from octahedral to B-bone, and then if we select everything, we can select, I think it's Control-Alt-S, yeah, Control-Alt-S, you see that in the bottom left right there, to decrease the thickness, and this looks a bit more professional to me, it's easier to animate with. So this is how we'd animate our character. And let's do the same for the arms quickly. We'll try and go through this as quick as possible. So let's extrude upper hand, got the whole thing, there we go, let's just select this, extrude upper hand IK, Alt P to clear parent. I call this IK.L. Select a pole, so extrude this out. I'm just using this as a starting point. Alt P to clear parent, and this will be parented to arm IK, so Control P, keep offset. And I'm just repeating the same process, but of course the elbow is going back this way. And I'll rename this pole.l. And now we need to go to pose mode. Don't make the same mistake I did last time. Try doing it in edit mode. And let's make sure we've got this selected last. Shift I to active bone, and that will add our bone constraint. And we can also select it from this list right here, but it's quicker just to do Shift I. So let's set the chain length to 2 and try selecting this pole target. We might need to rotate it or change that angle. Sorry, not rotate it. Yeah, that's fine. And let's just play around with this angle. Sometimes it's more difficult to find than this, but I think it's just -90. And then we've got our arms done as well. And this is much easier to animate. Just move our angle. And here we go. So we can repeat this for the other side. I think 90 might not quite be the right angle, so let's just try reducing this a little bit. Or, yeah, there we go. Okay, it's -70.1, something like that. Yeah, that's very quickly how you set up IK. And we can use this to pose the character in the final renders. I think we'll leave it just like this, so because we're not animating a proper walk cycle or anything, we can just pose them in FK. That's what we're doing here on this side of the character, and it's quite nice and rendered actually, doesn't it? Let's put her foot back down on the ground. We can also rotate her hand. I'm going to try and make a wave. Does that look nice? And that's our character's finished now. So let's go back into rendered mode, and we can bring back our male one. We've got our male rig as well. We can move him. If you want to move the whole object, just move the actual rig. Let's Control Tab and reset his poses because we put him in a bit of an odd spot. Let's just bring his arms down by his side like that. There we go. Maybe when it comes to rendering, we'll put these two in a nice pose so they're not just stood here looking like idiots. Let's rotate these arms forward. I'm aware this video has been quite long, but we've managed to finish off the characters, so let's finish up quickly rather than continuing anymore. Let's add the scenery back. And it looks like I must have created a characters collection before. Don't need that though, since we've already got one. And yeah, let's just move these rigs. We can always use snapping, face snapping, just to snap them on the ground. With the pivot point to snap with active. There we go. So we can just place them on the ground and see how they look in rendered mode. Remember to disable this option here so you can see them properly. And let's also bring back my son. I think I hid the setup collection. So congratulations for finishing this section. We've got our characters added. Very basic, but I think they look quite nice. And yeah, try and be adventurous with this, you know, take it further. Maybe you can add more characters than just 2, or modify the existing ones we've got. But that's all the modeling finished in this course. In the next part, we'll just be talking about placing these assets in a nice way. We might touch on the asset editor, and we'll go through render settings so we can get some nice portfolio images. So nice work, and we'll see you then.